Today in crypto, the Bitcoin halving is less than a week away. Can we break over $10,000 before that event happens? And if so, how low might we go following the Bitcoin halving? Could $6,000 be in play? More fiat currencies are taken off to the graveyard of history, and the USA announces another 3 trillion reasons why you need to buy Bitcoin. The Crypto Lark. This is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out there in the wild, wild land of crypto. Also, if you want to start trading cryptocurrency but you don't know how to get started, then check out my beginner's course, Crypto Trading Explained. It will cover all of the basics that you need, including the most popular indicators, key tools, essential patterns, risk management strategies, and much, much more. There's a link down below in the description where you can learn more. So let's go ahead and dive into the charts to get started off with today. On the 4-hour chart, we have a nice bullish pennant forming up. The price has been consolidating over the last few days since that big move that we had upwards. Now, it could be coiling right now up for one more big explosive move before the Bitcoin halving happens. The implied target, if we do indeed break upwards out of this pennant, is $10,500, which would be a very sweet little way to walk into the Bitcoin halving. It is worth keeping in mind, though, that a bullish pennant only has around a 55% chance of actually breaking to the upside, and that even if we do shoot up over $10,000, it will likely be a short-lived hurrah before the Bitcoin halving actually happens. Now, if the pennant breaks to the downside, then $8,400 and $8,000 are key support levels to keep an eye on. Now, the pennant comes to its terminus point on Saturday, so only 2 days before the halving. So I think we can expect a potentially big move in the next couple of days. We may need to test the lower bounds of this pennant, though, before actually making that bullish jump upwards, so keep that in mind to see that if that does play out or not. Now, post-halving, very interesting stuff here. A lot of people are expecting a big old steaming dump in the price. My highly scientific Twitter poll from earlier this week shows that nearly half of the 1,400 respondents think that the price of Bitcoin will suffer after the halving. Now, last halving, the price dropped by around 28% in the days following the Bitcoin halving. Now, how low the price will go actually, of course, depends on how we break out of this pennant in the coming days. A big drop like that from $10,500 could bring us back down to potentially around the $8,000 mark, where we find the 200-a-day moving average. But if we go into the Bitcoin halving with bearish price action, then a drop by 30% from, for example, $8,000, that could possibly bring us down to retest the 200-week moving average, which is around $6,000. Now, if that were to happen, a retest and a bounce from the 200-week moving average, that would actually be mega bullish moving into the post-halving market. Obviously, though, what happened in 2016, it is no guarantee of what will happen over the next couple of weeks, whether or not we do get that big price dump or not, but it is definitely some interesting food for thought. Now, one thing is apparent, though. If we do get a dip back down to the 200-week moving average, then it may be one of the last best chances to buy Bitcoin before the next cycle heats up. Historically, buying around the 200-week moving average has been a very nice opportunity. Anyway, no matter how all this plays out, I'm super excited. This is like crypto Christmas. I love it. So much excitement building up to this event. The Bitcoin halving, it's less than 6 days away. Only around 825 more blocks of Bitcoin will give a reward of 12.5 BTC, and then blammo, choppity chop 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 goes the block reward. Now, in anticipation of this event, we have not only seen the price of Bitcoin moving upwards, but also Bitcoin market dominance has been moving upwards. It has risen by around 4% in just the last week, meaning that altcoins are being put under increasing pressure in the run-up to the Bitcoin halving. It is possible that we could see dominance move even higher, especially if we do get that big price spike from a bullish breakout of that bullish pennant. So if that does happen, expect BTC alt pairs to go even lower. But if the predictions of a post-halving dump do indeed play out, then altcoins, I think, will find some nice time to shine in those coming weeks. Now, moving on to our first big story of the day. Over in Iran, lawmakers have decided that they are going to launch a new currency due to the high inflation levels of the current Iranian rial, which of course has been just totally crushed due to all the things like the ongoing sanctions and being heavily hit by the Mexican beer crisis and of course crash in the oil markets. All this stuff has come together to just savage the rial. Now, while the official exchange rate is 42,000 rial for $1, the black market price is 156,000 per dollar. Basically, what we're looking at is an out-of-control death spiral for the Iranian fiat nightmare. So in response to this, the government has decided to launch a new currency called the Toman. The big innovation of this new currency? They're going to remove 4 zeros from the notes. Yep, you heard that right. When one currency fails, just launch a new one, but with less zeros this time. It's way more serious that way, honestly. I wish I could make this stuff up, but reality, it's always stranger than fiction. This is like comedic gold. Thanks, Iranian government, for that. That's good times. Anyway, all of these paper-backed currencies, they're backed by faith. They're destined for the rubbish bin of history. It's a bad economic model to base your currency on. Now, over in Lebanon, the local fiat currency has also been pounded into oblivion, as we've been covering here on the channel over the last few months. And the protesters even decided to hold a nice little funeral for the Lebanese pound, inspired by the antics of the Ghanaian dancing pallbearers. Probably more ceremony than the Lebanese pound actually deserves, but definitely a nice wicked lash of satire from the protesters in Lebanon. And then over in Argentina, as the debt crisis worsens, locals are increasingly fleeing into Bitcoin, which is definitely something I approve of. Argentina, it is essentially going to go bankrupt very, very soon. And Argentina is expected to default on its foreign debt for the 9th time. This is a deadly combination of a rapidly falling GDP, crumbling wages, along with rising unemployment, topped off the good little dash of hyperinflation, all served on a bed of global pandemic, fueling one of the worst economic events of our lifetime. This has basically destroyed the economy of Argentina, and of course the peso is going right down with it. Analysts are saying this will create the worst crisis that Argentina has ever seen. We need to order up those Ghanaian guys to come and do a little funeral for the Argentine peso. Seems like we have another death of fiat coming. But jokes aside, these stories, honestly, they're so crushing. Regular, hard-working people who just want to be safe and happy, they're crushed time and time again by these rapacious international bankers and the corrupt politicians who serve them. They rob people's life savings. They destroy entire livelihoods. It's a sick system. But any Argentine who has bought Bitcoin, they have actually been able to evade all of the government's draconian capital controls, and of course to be able to preserve their wealth in their hands. It is thus unsurprising that volumes on Argentine Bitcoin exchanges continue to soar upwards. And finally for today, over in the United States, the dollar faces continued pressure. So the US Treasury has just announced that it will be borrowing $3 trillion. Throw some more money on the barbecue, guys. Just to cover the second quarter of this year, actually. Inevitably, more trillions will be needed for quarter 3 and for quarter 4. Wow. Obviously, most of this money will end up getting sucked up by big corporations. Wall Street will, of course, get its share of the pie. It always does. They're very hungry over on Wall Street. And the banks, oh, they'll take a nice big old chunk of that too for doing basically nothing. By the way, $3 trillion is nearly 6 times the last record quarter, which was $530 billion. That quarter, by the way, was during the height of the 2008 financial crisis. What a mess. What a mess all these currencies are. The deficit in the US is going to skyrocket. The debt is growing at an unbelievable rate, as well as the servicing of that debt. At what point do we start having serious discussions about hyperinflation hitting the world's biggest economy? At what point does the discussion of a US default actually start to happen? How long before they just take the dollar out back and shoot it and put it out of its misery? And then they can launch a new dollar with fewer zeros, maybe. Now look, don't be fooled into thinking that hyperinflation and bankruptcy are impossible for a country like the USA. Argentina used to be a very strong economy, and then it wasn't very quickly. Anything is possible. No fiat currency is truly safe. Every one of those currencies is on a trajectory to zero. Money backed by faith in a government, that's a broken concept. And every new dollar printed is basically a new dollar spent on advertising Bitcoin. I guess we should thank them for all this free advertising. Anyway, stack, sats, and chill. We are living in unprecedented times for the global economy. It's wild. Anyway, what do you think is going to happen with Bitcoin over the next 2 weeks? Do you think that we will rise in price from the time of the halving? Are you expecting a big old dump after the halving? Or are you just not worried about any of this? You're just stacking sats, you're chilling, you stack some more sats, you chill some more. That's a good lifestyle, by the way. Anyway, you'll let me know all about it down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. As always, you are freaking awesome, and I really, really appreciate your support of the channel. And if you could, whack that thumbs up button to appease my bosses over at YouTube. That would be super, super cool. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Long live the blockchain. And peace out till next time.